Preparing for a data analytics at Goldman Sachs interview? You've reached Candy Mentor, and this video is for you. We'll walk through 15 key questions you're likely to face. For each question, you'll see a sample answer, followed by the key points to cover. Subscribe, like, and share, and drop a topic request in the comments. Question 1. How would you handle missing values in a trading or transaction dataset? In a financial dataset, I first separate missingness into technical gaps and meaningful absence. For example, a missing trade timestamp is a data quality issue, while missing optional client metadata may be acceptable. I profile null rates by source, date, product, and field, then decide whether to drop, impute, or flag. I avoid blind mean imputation because it can distort risk or revenue analysis. The key is documenting assumptions and validating downstream impact. While answering, focus on profiling missingness, distinguishing technical data gaps from valid business absence, choosing imputation carefully, adding missing value indicators, and validating impact on financial metrics. Question 2. Write a SQL query to find the top 3 clients by monthly trading volume for each asset class. I would aggregate trading volume at the client, month, and asset class level, then rank clients within each month and asset class. A typical pattern is sum volume in a CTE, followed by denser rank over, partition by trade month, asset class order by total volume desk. Then I filter where rank equals 3. I prefer denser rank when ties should share the same position. For large trade tables, indexes or partitioning on trade date and asset class matter. Make sure to cover aggregation by month, client, and asset class, use of window functions like rank or denser rank, tie handling, filtering after ranking, and performance considerations. Question 3. How do you validate that a dashboard showing daily profit and loss is accurate? Daily profit and loss dashboards need both data and business validation. I start by confirming the metric definition with finance or trading teams. Realized versus unrealized profit and loss, currency conversion, cutoff time, and adjustments. Then I reconcile totals against trusted books or reports, sample row-level trades, and test aggregations by desk, product, and date. I also add alerts for sudden spikes, missing feeds, or stale data. Accuracy is not a one-time check. In your answer, talk about source reconciliation, metric definitions, row-level checks, aggregation tests, time zone and currency handling, anomaly detection, stakeholder sign-off, and monitoring after release. Question 4. Explain the difference between inner join, left join, and full outer join using a finance example. An inner join returns only records that match in both tables, such as trades that have corresponding settlement records. A left join keeps all trades and brings settlement details when available, which helps identify unsettled trades. A full outer join keeps everything from both sides, useful for reconciliation when either system may have missing records. In finance, join mistakes can create false breaks or hide real ones, so I always check key uniqueness and unmatched counts. Be sure to mention matched versus unmatched records, preservation of rows, null generation, reconciliation use cases, duplicate join keys, and why join choice affects business conclusions. Question 5. How would you detect anomalies in credit card transaction data? The problem is to separate genuinely unusual behavior from normal customer variation. I would build baselines by customer, merchant category, geography, time of day, and transaction amount. Simple rules catch obvious cases, like impossible travel or sudden high-value spending. For richer detection, I would use z-scores, isolation forests, or supervised fraud models if labels exist. The main trade-off is sensitivity versus false positives, because too many alerts create operational noise. While answering, cover statistical baselines, rule-based flags, behavioral patterns, segmentation, seasonality, false positives, supervised versus unsupervised methods, and how analysts review suspicious transactions. Question 6. What is the difference between correlation and causation, and why does it matter in financial analytics? Correlation means two variables move together. Causation means one variable actually drives the other. In financial analytics, this distinction is critical because markets produce many spurious relationships. For example, A stock may correlate with oil prices during one regime, but that does not prove oil is the driver. I would test alternative explanations, control for confounders, examine stability over time, and avoid presenting correlation as a trading signal without economic reasoning and validation. Make sure to cover association versus cause-effect, confounding variables, spurious relationships, market regime changes, controlled experiments where possible, and careful interpretation of analytical findings. Question 7. How would you design a report that tracks client profitability across products? I would first define profitability clearly: gross revenue, net revenue, allocated cost, funding cost, and any risk adjustments. Then I would map trades and fees to a consistent client master and product hierarchy. Currency conversion should use approved rates and dates. The report should allow drill down from region to client to product, with reconciliation to official finance numbers. For Goldman Sachs style reporting, governance, entitlements, and data lineage are just as important as visualization. In your answer, discuss metric definition, revenue and cost allocation, product hierarchy, client identifiers, currency normalization, data lineage, drill down capability, and governance around sensitive client data. Question 8. What SQL techniques would you use to identify duplicate trade records? I start by defining what duplicate means with the business team. Exact duplicates may share trade ID, client ID, product, notional, price, and timestamp. In SQL, group by those fields with having count equals 1 quickly surfaces duplicates. For keeping one record, row number over partition by business key order by ingestion time desk is useful. In trading data, I also check near duplicates because amendments or late feeds can look similar but represent legitimate lifecycle events. Be sure to mention business keys, exact versus fuzzy duplicates, group by having, row number, timestamp tolerance, source system IDs, and preserving one canonical record for investigation. Question 9. How do you measure whether a new analytics dashboard is successful? A dashboard is successful only if it improves decisions, not just if it looks good. I would define success metrics before launch: active users, frequency of use, time saved, reduction in manual reconciliations, and decisions influenced. I would also track data freshness, error rates, and query performance. After release, I would interview users and monitor feature usage to remove unused charts. The best dashboards become part of a business workflow, not a separate reporting burden. While answering, focus on business objective alignment, user adoption, decision impact, data accuracy, latency, performance, feedback loops, and measurable KPIs beyond visual appearance. Question 10. Explain how you would calculate rolling 30-day average trading volume. A rolling 30-day average smooths short-term volatility while preserving recent trends. In SQL, I would aggregate volume by day first, then use AVG daily volume over partition by instrument, order by trade date, rows between 29 preceding and current row. If the business means calendar days rather than trading observations, I would join to a calendar table and fill missing dates appropriately. I would clarify that distinction upfront because it changes the denominator and interpretation. Make sure to cover date ordering, window frames, handling non-trading days, partitioning by instrument or client, SQL window functions, and interpretation of rolling metrics. Question 11. How would you investigate a sudden drop in reported revenue for one trading desk? I would treat it as both a business question and a data quality question. First, I would confirm whether feeds completed, FX rates loaded, and mappings changed. Then I would break revenue down by product, client, trader, region, and transaction type versus prior days and historical averages. If one component explains the drop, I would trace records back to source systems. I would share early findings with caveats because stakeholders need speed but also confidence. In your answer, talk about hypothesis-driven analysis, checking data pipelines, comparing historical patterns, isolating by product and client, validating with source systems, and communicating uncertainty. Question 12. What are the key differences between a star schema and a normalized schema for analytics? A star schema organizes data around fact tables like trades or balances, connected to dimensions such as client, product, desk, and date. It is easier for analysts and BI tools because joins are predictable and metrics are centralized. A normalized schema reduces redundancy and supports transactional consistency, but analytical queries can become complex. For reporting at scale, I usually prefer dimensional models while preserving lineage back to normalized operational sources. Be sure to mention fact and dimension tables, query simplicity, storage redundancy, update consistency, performance, BI usability, and why analytics warehouses often favor dimensional modeling. Question 13. How would you explain a regression model's output to a non-technical finance stakeholder? I would avoid statistical jargon and connect the model to the business question. For example, instead of saying a coefficient is 0.7, I would say, holding other factors constant, this variable is associated with higher expected revenue or risk. I would explain accuracy using validation results and show where the model performs poorly. I would also discuss assumptions and uncertainty. Stakeholders should understand how to use the model and where not to trust it. While answering, cover translating coefficients into business meaning, model assumptions, confidence intervals, limitations, feature importance, validation metrics, and avoiding overpromising predictive certainty. Question 14. How do you ensure data privacy and access control when analyzing client-level financial data? Client-level financial data should be handled with least privilege access. I would only request fields needed for the analysis, mask or tokenize identifiers where possible, and use approved secure environments. Row-level security matters when different teams can view different clients or regions. I would avoid exporting sensitive data to local files and ensure audit logs capture access. In a bank, strong analytics is inseparable from compliance, confidentiality, and operational discipline. Make sure to cover least privilege access, masking, anonymization, row-level security, audit logs, regulatory sensitivity, secure sharing, and avoiding unnecessary exposure of personally identifiable information. Question 15. Describe a time series forecasting approach for predicting daily transaction volume. I would start with a simple baseline, such as last week's same-day volume or a moving average, before using complex models. Transaction volume often has day-of-week effects, month-end spikes, holidays, and market event shocks. I would split training and validation chronologically, not randomly, and evaluate with MAE or MAPE, depending on business tolerance. Features could include product, region, volatility, and calendar indicators. After deployment, I would monitor forecast errors for regime changes. In your answer, discuss trend, seasonality, holidays, market events, train tests split by time, baseline models, evaluation metrics, feature engineering, and monitoring forecast drift. If you are still with us, congratulations, you are much ahead of the rest and serious about preparing for your interview. We hope we were able to add value to your preparation and create some helpful content. Do not forget to like and share this video. Your small act can do great things for us.